Hey folks, let's take a look at the new ring utilities in Tailwind CSS version 2.0. Here we have 5 buttons. If I tab through these with my keyboard, you can see the focus state is triggered and represented with the default browser focus styles. These default focus styles look different between browsers, and it's not uncommon for people to want to disable them. Before turning them off, it's important to understand they play a critical role for accessibility. If you're going to remove them, you need to implement your own focus styles as a replacement. Let's look at how Tailwind's new ring utilities allow us to do just that. So let's turn the default focus styles off with focus outline none on our buttons. And now you can see we have completely lost our focus outline. Relying on only the background color change is not good enough, as some users won't be able to perceive the difference. The first thing we can do is add the focus ring class to our buttons. You can now see a blue ring around our buttons when they enter in focus. On its own, the default ring class is a 3-pixel blue 500 box shadow around the element. I can change the color of it with focus ring pink 500, for example, and you can see our focus ring is now pink. The ring class on its own defaults to 3 pixels width, but I can change that with ring 1, ring 2. We'll leave this one as ring since it will be the default 3 pixel width, and make the last two ring 4 and ring 8. Now, each of our buttons has a different focus ring width. Now, let's imagine a quick scenario where we have some sort of panel like a model, and we have a button that is flush against the edges. When it gets in focus, you can see that the ring gets cropped out since we have an overflow hidden class on the parent element here. In cases like these, it would be nice to have the ring on the inside of the button, and there is a class specifically for that, focus ring inset. Now, the 4-pixel ring is on the inside of the button and completely visible in this example. Let's reset all our rings to the default 3-pixel width. Sometimes you might want some offset between the element and the ring. You can achieve that with the ring offset utility. I'll add focus ring offset 1 to the second button, ring offset 2 to the next, and then ring offset 4 and ring offset 8. You can now see the increasing gap between the button and the focus ring. If I make the background of this wrapping element BG gray 800 for a second, you will see that the ring offset actually has a white background by default. You can set the color of that offset with ring offset followed by any color you want. I'll make it match the background with focus ring offset gray 800, and now it blends in. If I remove the background color on the parent div, you can see the ring offset color. Let me quickly reset all the buttons to have a white 2-pixel ring offset. One more thing we can control, the ring opacity. I'll leave the first one at 100% and use the ring opacity utility to set the other ones to 75, 50, 25, and 5%. As a recap, the new ring utilities in Tailwind let us create custom focus styles by controlling 5 things: the color, width, and opacity of the ring, as well as the color and width of the ring offset. By composing all of these together, you can create bespoke, great-looking focus styles for your designs. For each button, I'll set the ring to be 3 pixels with a 50% opacity, the 500 shade of the button color, and I'll set the ring offset to be the 600 shade of that same color. And that's looking pretty sweet. One final thing that is worth explaining. For this, I'll remove all but the last button and make the ring styles more subtle by making both the ring width and ring offset width to be 1 pixel only. I mentioned earlier that ring utilities are implemented as box shadows. This means it is possible to preserve existing box shadows on an element when adding a focus ring. I'll add a shadow LG class to my button, And to make it more noticeable, I'll toggle this class on and off with the DevTools. Now, if I trigger focus on this button, you can see our shadow LG utility is still applied, and I can toggle it on and off. If we look at the CSS rules for the ring1 class, you can see that the box shadow is composing 3 values. One for the ring offset, which in our case is 1 pixel until 600. One for the ring itself, which is also 1 pixel and offset by 1 pixel. And finally, the box shadow defined by our shadow LG utility. So the good news is, if you have box shadows applied to your elements, these will be preserved when you apply ring utilities.